things that you help people with as a coach is to show up online. You mentioned that you work in personal branding. What is personal branding in your eyes? Like, everyone has a slightly different way of explaining it, but if someone's thinking like, I'm not really sure what a personal brand is, what would you say to that?
Mm-hmm. So personal brand, very simply, is the way that you brand yourself as a person. So in the same way that you'll see businesses have, not all businesses, but typically they'll have what's their purpose, what's their mission, what are their values, what's their vision, what is their brand personality, what's their tone of voice, their unique selling point, what are their interests and hobbies. And you just take the same framework that a business would use and you just apply it to a person. So your person building a personal brand, it's the way that you put yourself across online in a way to build an engaged audience community of people who are really aligned with who you are as a person. So, and or aligned with your mission, your values. As I said, having similar interests to you. Are they people with a similar personality to you? And then being able to, if you are self-employed, being able to monetize this in a way that's like, what's your niche? What do you want to monetize? What are your services? What's the problem that you're solving? Like with any business strategy. And that's why I call myself a personal branding and business strategy, because actually the two for me go together. You grow your business based on your brand, and vice versa. So very succinctly, that's what personal branding is.
Yeah, and because without the strategy, why are you doing it in the first place? You have to have something that you want to achieve by that and keep that in mind. Authenticity comes to mind because one of the things that I see often with our students coming into our coaching program is they think, well, I'm not naturally into self-promotion, so I'm going to have to make this version of myself that seems really confident and comes across in a certain way to help my business grow. And they're more comfortable with thinking about the strategy than they are thinking about the branding and making that authentic. What can go wrong if somebody has that kind of mentality, or how would you encourage them to look at it?
So it's really important that you establish your brand identity first, because it's all well and good saying, I'm just going to go out there with a business strategy. But as we know, authenticity, that buzzword that's thrown around, people buy into people. People buy from people that they like and they trust. And a part of that, well, the fundamental part of that is showing up online, getting your face out there, spreading your message. As I said, building an engaged community of people around you, of people who love you and your brand and what you stand for and what you stand against, and want to be part of your community because they feel this deeper rapport and emotional connection with you. So everything starts initially with identifying who it is that you are and how you want to show up for the people that you want to attract. And it's only once you've got clarity on those things can you then make a start with your business strategy, because then who are the people that you actually are aligned with and who you want to attract to your community. And as we know, you can't start any business strategy without knowing, first of all, your target audience and your ideal client. And that begins by knowing who you are first, what you stand for, and who you want to work with.
Yeah, that makes sense. So one of the, I think, difficulties for the students in our community is that they're looking for clients to hire them as writers, and they really struggle to come up with ideas for content. And I think, trying to communicate that there are other aspects of their brand that they get to showcase, or other ways that they can connect with potential clients, rather than just saying, I can do this for you. And some of those promotional posts can be very off-putting as well if there isn't any substance there. So how would you kind of help to connect with someone on that level if they're just hitting a wall and they're like, I don't know what to say?
There are so many different angles that I could take with this. So I'll try and keep it simple, because I could probably talk about it for an hour. So when it comes to your content, you really want to include a variety of different content pieces in there. And the new way of selling is not selling, it's providing value. It's giving all of the value to show your community, your audience, that you are really good at what you do, that you know your stuff, and more than anything, that you understand your target audience. Because if people are going to part with their money and pay you, they want to see that you understand what they're struggling with in their reality, because this is when they say, oh, wow, that person knows what I'm going through right now. And so I trust them to help me to get to this endpoint because they're communicating with me right now in a way that I understand. And so this all begins with knowing who your ideal client is, knowing at what point in the journey is your ideal client. What have they already tried? What are they doing that they're doing wrong? What are they not doing that you know they should be doing? What are mistakes that they're making? What are some myths that they think are true that you know as the expert are not true? And you may hear a lot about, not you, but your community watching like pain point content. But this is, and this is really powerful content, because this is the content, as I said, that they really relate to hard because it's their reality. So how you get around this is, if you don't know, go and speak to your target audience. Just pick out 5 people who are your target audience and ask them questions about what they're struggling with in relation to your niche and in relation to the solution that you provide as well. And then use that as the foundation for creating your content around to solve their problem for them in your content. And this is when they then trust you to help them with the paid services.
Yeah, I've definitely taken that approach myself, and I can vouch for it, because it gives you that confidence that you're not speaking to no one anymore. Like, there are actually people who need the things that you have to say, who are asking for it, looking for it. And it does make them feel understood and heard and important. And I think that's where the idea of the avatar comes in, because you only need to have like one avatar in mind every time you write, and you don't have to think about it as though there are hundreds of millions of people who might see it. It's just this one person who you're speaking to directly. And I think that that's also another way to kind of make it less overwhelming, and to think, if I can just provide value to this one person, then maybe it will extrapolate to others as well. Like, maybe there are others who feel that same way. And I think in the writing industry that is challenging, because people who are hiring a writer are not necessarily looking for a writer. So I don't think we want to be so on the nose with everything that we say. Like, when I see every other post is like, I'm a writer and I can do this and I can do that, like, it's not quite hitting the spot for the person who's looking to hire a writer or doesn't even know that they need one yet. So I guess what are some ways that you can kind of find that middle ground between showing what you are capable of doing and letting them know that you're available for this type of work? Is there a medium, like a middle ground like that?
So if you're talking about selling, then I would advise everybody, you do have to be selling your services. It's not only about providing value, because people need to be told what to do. Very frankly, like, people are getting lazy on social media, and sometimes people literally need to see your call to action at the end saying, I'm opening up 2 spots for my copywriting services. If you are looking to achieve X, Y, and Z, then send me a DM. And it's so funny how sometimes people might read a post, be like, yeah, I need that, but there's no call to action. And they just think, yeah, I'll leave it for another day. And it's by, like, selling your services regularly. And what does regularly mean? Well, let's say if you are posting on LinkedIn 5 times a week, then once or twice, like, yes, you should be promoting your services. But it's also this happy medium of the content drives the inbound inquiries, but you also need to be putting effort and time and energy into your outbound strategy. So outbound being where you proactively go out to search for business. So being strategic with your conversations that you're having in the DMs, making sure that you're having strategic conversations with the right people being people in your target audience, people who are the decision makers, these kind of things. So these are the 2 strategies: your inbound, so where inquiries come to you, and your outbound, where you go out and proactively pitch yourself and have conversations to invite people to work with you. These need to be working in comparison, together. Forgotten what the word is, but yeah, in collaboration, together, in order to maximize your success. with actually booking out your services.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point about thinking about who you're actually interacting with, because your content is always going to fall flat if you're not talking to the right people. Like, they're just not going to get it, are they? A lot of people will think, well, I'm getting connection requests all the time. Do I just like accept all of them? Should I be picky about which ones I accept? Like, how should I know who I should be talking to and who I shouldn't?
So when it comes, this is where the ideal client and the avatar, comes into it. Because let's say, for example, taking your community here. So you're a writer and you specifically want to target coaches who, for sales pages, let's say, for example. So you know that you need to be going out there and connecting with people who specifically state on their profile that they're a coach. Or, maybe you say, but I work with marketing agencies, or I work with like health startups. So define in your mind for your ideal client exactly who it is, because then this makes the connection so much easier. Now, that means that taking that approach, you're clear on your niche. So say, for example, you want to work with health startups and you find a health startup, fine. Then obviously who your ideal client is, not everybody within the niche is also your ideal client, because the ideal client is the really granular level of detail for the person that you really want to work with. So whether it's down to personality, like literally personal personality traits, their mission, are their values aligned? Are they at the right stage? They might be a health startup, but are they at the right stage in their journey for the people that you work with? And so having that idea in your mind of who it is you're targeting will definitely help you connect with more of the right people. But then it's having a conversation. Unless you start asking strategic business questions, you don't know whether this person or this business is an ideal client. So that's why you need to start being strategic with the questions that you're asking to work that out.